All right, everybody, back for another Reup Productions Podcast. Today we have James Gurick with Baird Warner. It was almost there.
That's how you mess up everybody's. I'm not holding it against you, Bobby.
How you doing today, man?
I'm well, man. So, quick question first off. Which one of these cameras am I looking at here?
So you just look at me the whole time, and then at the very end, when you do your shameless plug, you'll look at that one. But yeah, just me and you talking.
All right, brother.
So you said you recently, or we were talking a little bit before, we got on, obviously, and you were telling me that you had another full career before you came to real estate.
Yeah.
Well, can you kind of touch on it? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, so before I got into real estate, I owned a company called Optimal Lacrosse, and I was like a coach, a youth mentor, built out about an 8,000 square foot facility up in Lake Bluff, and we call it the Pit, and it was my passion, right? I've had a lot of success in the lacrosse world coming up, and when I moved here, I guess 8-9 years ago now, I noticed that
Lacrosse, like the sport.
Yes, the sport.
Okay.
If you don't know it, watch the Premier Lacrosse League. It's fantastic. It's the fastest game on 2 feet. You won't be let down, trust me. Anyway, so when I moved here, lacrosse had still, been a big part of my life. Okay, and I noticed that there was a big gap of, the parents, they're trying to teach a sport that they never played. It's about 20 plus years behind my hometown.
On the East Coast?
On the East Coast. I'm from Alexandria, Virginia. Played at Salisbury. Had a lot of success. Won multiple national titles. I noticed that they didn't have someone to really teach the game, right? So I lucked out. I responded actually to a Craigslist ad looking for a lacrosse coach.
Good old classifieds.
Good old Craigslist.
Yeah.
When that took me up to Lake Forest, where they hired me as a coach for the Lake Forest Lacrosse Association, LFLA, which fantastic North Shore Lacrosse Club. Anyways, so I get up there, we start coaching. I realize that these kids need private instruction, right? So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I actually quit my job, put all the money I had into a company that specialized in nothing but lacrosse instruction. There wasn't a company out there at the time, I don't know if there is, that solely did private instruction, right? There's a lot of companies that want to do, travel teams and this and that, and travel all over the country and play these teams, but no one focuses on the grind, right? No one focuses on,
fundamentals.
Yeah, and you got to do 1,000 reps a day on your right hand and left hand and shooting and actually teaching the grind is to, you do this move 100 times because you can't do that in practice.
Right.
In practice, you have literally a select amount of opportunities to where you can actually do this, right? So I said, you know what? There's a big void. I'm going to start a company and focus on private instruction. It took off. I mean, absolutely took off.
Yeah.
Right? So within a year, I figured out how to found a space. The landlord said he'd pay for the build out. We had a nice negotiation, and we built out a facility called the Pit.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. It was state of the art. There's about a little over 3,000 square feet of NFL turf. We had cinder block walls, so lacrosse players could come in there and actually work on their skills. We had custom nets made. We had a workout room, athlete lounge, study lounge. I mean, I gave lacrosse players in the North Shore a home, a place where they can actually come and train. And it was fantastic, man, to mentor these kids.
I've got, from where I am, or where I'm from in Ohio, there's a big lacrosse scene there. It's not even, our schools don't even have it, but there's like a north and south side in my area, and they would always have club teams. Like all my good friends, if they weren't playing baseball, they were playing lacrosse. Yeah. And like that sport, I graduated in 2010, but where I'm from, they were winning state championships, and they were starting to like really build it out. It's become way more popular, especially you're saying you're from the East Coast, where it's like lacrosse is king. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and it's growing more and more every year.
Yeah, it's cool.
With the expansion of the MLL now, or the PLL now, it's just it being broadcast on all the major networks and everything. It's just it's fun to watch the explosion of the sport.
Yeah.
Knowing that when I started, 25, 30 years ago, it was nothing like that. Just to see the popularity of the game, it's awesome. It's finally getting its moment.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, I actually had a buddy who He didn't go to my high school, but one of the neighboring all-boys school. He ended up going to Syracuse. So it was like, once you like get that sort of level of athlete going and going to those big time.
Syracuse is the top program.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like in my area, it started to like some of the best athletes were like, we're not gonna play baseball. We're gonna play lacrosse. You know, so I've got a special place in my heart, even though I never played it, but I always thought it was cool.
Well, if PLL comes back here, I'll take you to a game.
I'm down.
We'll have fun.
I'm down. Any
fun.
live sport I'm always into. I think it's just there's something about the energy of it all.
Yeah.
So once you got done doing all the like individualized training, you created the pit. Like, what kind of made you shift into real estate? Like, how does that all kind of come?
It was time. You know, you're a business owner. Sometimes you're owned by your business. And even though I loved what I did, it's 7 days a week. I loved helping the kids. But, you know, your goals in life tend to change. You know, I did it almost 7 years, 7 days a week. I took nothing and literally turned it into something to where it still lives today. Like my students and I, we still connect all the time. I'm now helping one of my first students rent an apartment.
Cool.
Right, which is awesome. Like
that's kind of scary. I bet.
Some of my students now they've graduated. It's a lot of fun though to watch these young guys literally grow up.
Yeah.
Right, you know, start working with them when they're like 7th grade. Now they're literally graduating college, and you know we go out and have a drink together. Like to know that like I'm not just that lacrosse coach, but a mentor for life. It's awesome, but it also takes its toll, right? And then your life goals change. My now wife and I, we sort of changed what we wanted in life. We're getting older. Like we wanted to start a family, and doing that, it's not, even though it was fantastic, it's not a scalable business, right? I can't open up a training facility in every town and expect it to have the same success that it had.
Or enough kids.
It's just the market for that isn't there to do it at a level that it could have been done or should have been done. It's just not there, right?
Yeah.
I was in literally the right place, the right time, the right area with the disposable income to pay what needed to be paid and no questions asked. Like I was very lucky to land there, but it was just time. So we dissolved the company, took a few months off, and my wife, who's been in real estate for probably a decade now, she was like, what if we do something in real estate? I hate working for other people.
Yeah.
I hate it. I want to be out there building my own business, my own brand. I won't mind working 80 hours a week for myself. I hate working 40 hours a week for somebody else. I can't do it.
What a perfect business to come into with real estate then. Like all on you.
And one of the reasons I liked it, and I'm very upfront with my clients when they ask me, why did you get into real estate? Well, because I can make a lot of money helping others.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. Right? One of my gifts is the ability to help others. I think that's why I excelled being a youth mentor coach and being a youth coach and mentor. Is I love helping others.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier just about marketing. And my instant coach, I was like, well, how can I help them? Let me give them some ideas, right? It's just how I am. I love helping others. But there is an economic side to life that, hey, you need to make money too.
Yeah, especially with a family.
Yeah.
And a growing family. Yeah.
It's expensive, guys.
Yeah, right.
So real estate allowed me the platforms, I can make a good living while helping others. And so for me, it just made sense. And I work for myself.
Yeah.
I'm sponsored by Baird Warner, but ultimately I work for myself. The amount of money in revenue I bring in every year is in direct correlation to how much time I put in.
Right.
Like I'm in charge. And I love that.
Yeah, I being one business owner to the next, like that is probably one of the things that have drawn me. Well, I'd say this initially, it was one of the things that scared me the most about doing it. Is just like, man, it's all on me. And as we've grown more and the momentum of our business has started to like the snowball effect, the more confidence I think I've gotten into like, oh, like it is just me. I mean, I got Memo, obviously, but there's a lot of it that's like your own.
Memo. He's a good guy.
Yeah, Memo's good. He shoots. I'm just kidding, but it's nice. I mean, thank God I have him because he's been a good just buffer of things, but it's cool when you start to feel that snowball of like my effort is indicative to how much I'm making, or my lack of effort is indicative of how much I'm making too, right?
Well, it's a catch-22. It's like it's scary because it's all on you, but the best part is, hey, it's all on you. right? The good and the bad. Like, you want to get to your target, guess what? It's up to you.
How do you think having your wife already in the profession, like, helped shape you or mold you into, like, having such an awesome first year? Because you were saying, like, I really killed it. Do you think that helped?
It's great. Yeah, it helps from the fact that she keeps me in line. Like, I have very ambitious ideas. She's been in the industry a while, so she knows what works and what doesn't. She's always looking to improve. Me, I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. She's like, just take a step back, bro. Right? Like, keep it simple. Like, she's fantastic. She's been an awesome support system of mine.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Exactly what it is. And she doesn't hesitate to use the word stupid. She's like, calm down. But no, she's fantastic. So to have her that first year just really keep me in line. Like, listen, just focus on these little things, right? Open houses. Just get out and meet people. Learn how to talk to people you don't know about real estate. Like, I attribute a lot of it to that. Just her literally, like, saying, just slow down, right? Focus on the small daily activities. Because when you get in anything, you get these audacious ideas and you're jazzed up and you're motivated. And you're going to try 100 things. And she's like, listen, chill. You need to focus on A, B, and C. Right? You get out there. And so because of that, I decided to make open houses one of my main lead gens. Yeah. But a 48-week lead gen, not like, I'm going to do this for this quarter, that quarter. It has to be like an annual thing, right? Yeah. So committed to 2 to 4 open houses a weekend. Before you know it, I'm developing my own systems for open houses, right? I have, scripts absolutely memorized that I've tailored over the last 2.5 years. So as soon as someone shows up at the door, right, it's just automatic, very casual. But she's like, just keep it. So she was imperative for me just actually getting out there and meeting people, but also learning how to talk to people about real estate. And then it doesn't hurt, it's 9 o'clock at night, you're putting a contract together, you have a question like, hey, how do I do this contingency or that? And I learned very quick about boundaries. Listen, this is a question for tomorrow at work, not at home, which I thank you for that. But, it helped having that when I was in a pinch and needed a quick answer. Yeah. But again, we were very quick to set those boundaries. Like, listen, questions like that come at work, not when we're at home. So that way our whole life just isn't consumed by real estate.
Oh, that's awesome. You have to have that sort of boundary.
I didn't realize it at first.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we're going to do this. And she was like, and again, it's her experience coming in and her candor. And she was just like, you need to chill. I would be the type. No emergencies at 11 o'clock at night in real estate, okay?
100%. I would be the person at 11 o'clock at night, like, hey, this, like, can I get an answer? And I've done that plenty of times to Memo. And usually he plays along and Elise will, like, go down the road with me and, like, is down to, like, talk it through. But it's still something to learn. Like, you got to give people space because if not, you'll fizzle out. And then what good are you for the remaining month if, like, I fizzle you out from being too, like, chill.
Yeah, I mean, our relationship now is my business is at a point to where, like, we talk about it, but we don't, like, actively engage. Like, wait, who's this client? Who's that client? Who's that client? We never really did that, right? Yeah. She's always been in management since I started. I've been in sales. She's worried about all the other agents, right? I really only go to, her, my managing broker, when I have a question. Yeah. Right, that's where we're at now. And so those boundaries we set very early on, I think were very good just for our personal life. So it didn't really consume, our entire relationship. Now we have a little one, and that obviously just consumes the entire relationship.
Okay, so this is kind of an idea you were touching on. You're talking about, when you were doing, or like your first year, right? I'm going to do open house. I'm going to try to do 48 times in 1 year, so 48 weeks. How did you start to not have the sales breath, or like, I'm trying to sell this so hard? I mean, obviously you've been in sales, so probably that came a little more natural to you. But kind of touching
it doesn't, right? It's a different platform. When you're starting out, you take that real estate exam. You're like, I'm gonna get all these clients, this and that. Then you really get out and you realize you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know how to necessarily talk about the property. You don't even know how to really navigate the MLS, right? What's InfoSparks? How do I do this? It just comes with repetition, right? So when I host an open house for another agent, I have 2 priorities. 1, sell the property. 2, get leads. That's it, in that order. Okay, I need to help represent the property the best I can because I am literally an extension of that agent now because that agent is representing the seller whose home it is. So I need to go in there, at least study the property a little bit beforehand. Do I need to know everything? No. I don't, because I'm very upfront. Listen, I'm filling in for the open house. Any questions I don't know, we'll get back to you. So it's a very simple transition, and people understand, right? But the two priorities are help sell the property, help showcase the property well.
Yeah.
Right. That's the priority. It's like if you sell it, great. Right. But as long as you're there showcasing the property well, as much as you can. It's fantastic. And two, just strike rapport with people. So I would have a set list of questions I would ask everybody. Not intrusive, really, right? Just casually. As soon as they show up, I'm James. As we're walking, I have like a whole back then, COVID and this and that. So I had a whole sanitation area set up: iPad, Clorox wipes, mask, gloves, hand sanitizer. I had everything just to make people feel more secure.
Right.
So as we walk from point A to point B, I just ask a question: how'd you hear about the open house? Oh, you guys live in the area? Oh, no, we're from the suburbs. Oh, you're looking to move, right? And just sort of gather as much information as possible. Yeah. But what I would do the Monday after is I would go through those questions, and because I take lots of notes when I'm in open houses, I would go through and see which questions got really good responses. Next week, I would kind of use those questions. And then again and again and again. And I would just kind of figure out what works, right?
Yeah, formula.
The very basic broad questions, like how'd you hear about the open house? You live in the area, things like that. They're great conversation starters.
Yeah.
And then as you converse, you converse, right? And you just get used to talking to people. And then when it comes to the home, I give them options. I can give you a tour, or you can,
or I can leave you alone.
I can leave you alone. Here's your booklet with all the information. Just come to me with any questions, right? It's very no pressure. Like, listen, I'm here for you. Let me know what you need. All I ask is before you leave, you connect with me about questions, comments, feedback, what you liked, what you disliked, because again, that's very important to a listing agent, right? I was able to gather as much information as possible at open houses, this just impressed a lot of listing agents. And so rather than me searching for open houses, they would actually email me throughout the week, seeing if I was available to host their good listings, which for me was everything. Like that was my main open house. Like I still love sitting open houses. Like I love hosting here at the Wolfram Collection. I don't do 2 to 4 a weekend now just because my business is getting to a point
where you don't need to.
But I still want to, right? I still want to host open houses, maybe 4 a month now because of where I'm at. Yeah. Just to stay in that flow. Yeah. Right? Stay in that rhythm of knowing how to do it. When someone shows up, I still don't miss a beat. I know how to talk to them.
Yeah, I still know how to do it. That's awesome. I love the formula of it, like. And we were talking about this about even in social media, like having a plan when you're thinking about it as a whole. It could be like, who am I? Trying to get my name out there or whatever questions. But I like the idea. You're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep doing it until I accomplish maybe these 3 little goals. And now I can open up. Yeah. And I think that formula is like so strong in any business or anything you're doing. It's like, break down the huge problem into a couple things and let's just figure that out. And then from there, again, like the snowball, as I was even mentioning earlier, it just all starts to happen. Yeah. That momentum to me is so real and it's so tangible, and it's like actually something you can feel and is.
Yeah. And you can track it.
Yeah.
What is it? Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's. He was a big believer in systems and simplicity. Yeah. Right? In business, the more simple systems you can have that are effective, the better you're going to be. Right. I have a whole system for open houses, and it's very simple, right? And it works. And, it works for me. It may not work for somebody else, but, if a new agent's coming in and they want to get out there and meet people, start hosting open houses and just start getting used to talking to people you don't know about real estate. Right. And have fun with it. You're going to mess up. Who cares? You're never going to see these people again anyways most of the time, right? Yeah. Don't do anything to insult anybody or be stupid, but have fun with it. If you mess up, who cares? Right. Just don't do it. You won't do it again. Yeah. Right? Get out there. Hopefully. If you do, we got an issue. A new agent like me, I wanted to get out there and figure out how to talk to people about real estate and build relationships, and needed a system for that.
100%. So as you started to build that kind of fundamental piece of, hey, I'm going to do showings. I'm going to really build this. I'm going to get to know the people. I'm going to get to know how to even speak about real estate. But now you're like, okay, now I'm trying to niche out a little bit, right? Like, so which now became kind of new construction, like the path you're kind of on now, which I find really interesting. I think it's something I don't really know much about, so I'm kind of intrigued to kind of go down that road with you. So, like, what drove you towards, like, doing a new construction, like the Wolfram collection, not collective?
My man.
We're fixing things today.
Look, life's all about progress and growth, right? Yeah. That's two, the last name and the Wolfram collection. I like
hey, don't count on it for next week, all right? Don't do it.
So, really, I got a new construction because that's where the industry is heading. Right? And what I mean by that is there's, low inventory all over the country, not just the city.
Right.
People need places to live. And I really decided to get into it because guess who loves to go to open house or new construction open houses? Buyers.
Yeah.
Whether they're interested or not, they want to come see new construction. So for me, it really started as I want to host new construction open houses. The more I learned about it, the more I realized it's a great avenue, a great revenue stream for me to learn more about. Okay, so how do I do that? How do I consistently learn about new construction from people who actually know what they're talking about, as well as consistently have open houses opportunities at new construction? I started to build relationships with some of the top agents that do nothing but new construction.
Right.
Simple as that. They gave me an opportunity, and it's my job not to let them down.
Right.
Right. So I've been brought on several different new construction developments. I've been proving myself every day, not just open houses, but with showings, tours, but also learning, not just literally from how a building begins from finding the plot, getting it rezoned, to what is a drain tile? How does this get put in? Okay, what is soundproofing? What's cellulose? What's the difference between putting cork in the floor and a dual channel drywall system? Like all these little things that I've learned along the way from I call them my new construction mentors, the partners that have brought me on to help them sell their developments. And I talk about these things now when I go in open houses and tours, right. But I got into it really, it was more of a business decision to get me in front of more people, because I also saw with low inventory, there's going to have to be new homes built.
Right.
Why not? Right. It just made sense. So I made it one of my pillars in my business, and, just trying to keep it going.
That's well, that kind of makes me think of the point that you kind of brought up is like, even if people aren't going to buy the new construction, they're still going to buy something, and me getting a chance, me getting an at-bat in front of them, like the open house, is like, that's such a good way to like, oh, actually, I really like James. Maybe I actually want to give him a call. And that's interesting too.
It gets back to what, and I never want to forget this, like my first year. Just get in front of people, meet them, talk to them, see how you can best serve them as an agent, find out what's really important to them. And that really goes back to just those very initial set of questions of starting to build a relationship.
Right.
Asking for permission to reach out to them instead of just reaching out to them. Right. Respecting them. Like, it all goes back to my first 6 months trying to figure out my system. Right. If someone shows up to an open house, let's build a relationship. I don't care if you buy this week or next year. Like, I want to be your resource. Right.
Yeah. Even like your resource of like, even if I'm not the person you go with, at least think of me as a resource. And I always find that when I've started to think of the idea of like goodwill, or like putting out like this good faith into the world, and like giving people tips, or like talking to them about like strategies that we have, and just being like, this is what we do, this is what we think. Yeah. Execute it however you want to execute it. We think you're going to execute it best with us, but like here.
Well, you guys add a lot of value, right? And that's what I like about you. Something like from a social media standpoint, I need to get better at. My consistency's not there, and we were talking about that earlier. But it's really some people, you sell real estate. I look at it as, I'm in the people business, right? I need to provide value to people. I provide a service, right? I don't like referring to myself as a real estate agent or a realtor. Like I'm a consultant.
Yeah.
Right. I'm in the people business. I deal with people. I help consult my clients from A to Z And then I do a lot of things additionally just to continue to add value after the sale, which is why I continue to get referral after referral. I'm just a real estate consultant. And when people ask me what I do, I say I'm a real estate consultant. Oh, what does that mean? Well, I help my clients buy, sell, invest, and monitor investments after the transaction is done. I've had this conversation a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
And it throws people off because a lot of people say, I'm a real estate agent or I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a real estate consultant.
Yeah.
Right. I like to provide a lot more value to my clients than just being a transactional agent. Just gets them to the property that never says hi again.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the changing of the word and then changing the framework that's in your mind when you do that, like, or in other people's mind. Like, I'm a consultant, I'm an advisor. It's like that lends itself to being more of like, we're gonna go on this journey together, and like that is obviously fundamental to how you want to run your business. But I think that's just like good practice in general. It's like, we're gonna go on this journey together, and you're not going to walk alone. And like, wow, that just makes people feel so comfortable.
I look at it, it's a differentiator, right? And we're a very saturated market with real estate agents. Like, what makes me any different, And how I look at it is, well, that's one thing that makes me different is I'm going to be your one-stop shop for anything real estate. You need new curtains? Call me. I got a guy. Right? Like, you need a GC? Call me. I got a whole vendors list for you.
Yeah. But that's the cool part about real estate. That's the cool about, well, it can be any business, but when you decide to do a B2B or like business to business referral, you become the guy that has the guy. And there's an amount of trust that people start to give you because you led them in the right direction, even when it wasn't advantageous to you, that I think is like,
it's invaluable.
Yeah, it's like,
let me tell you a quick story. Before I came here, and it goes by the point, it's all about adding value.
Right.
Adding value. Okay. I have a client just moving. He actually just got in town from San Diego, helped them purchase their home. They'd seen it like once. I went through the whole process with them. I was here doing it for them. Long story short, we closed last week. They just arrived yesterday, right? I get a call from her. She's like, yeah, I just turned on the steam shower and all the electricity in the beautiful townhome, everything went out.
Yeah.
So I called my dad. I don't know what to do. It's like, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I went, walked in. Turns out there's this button in the steam shower. I don't know why it shut everything off, but I pressed this button, and the faucet is something she hasn't really seen before, right? It's old school. You have to pull it out, then turn the knob. I've been fooled by it before, so I didn't feel bad. I was like, don't feel stupid. Like, I've done this. Pull it out, boom, water turns right on. But the button, you hit this button here, all the lights came back on. And so she's like so embarrassed. I'm like, listen, don't worry. Like, you got the power back on. Let's test it again just to make sure. Right. So just that simple 10-minute thing. I drove over there, got everything back on for her. It's invaluable. Right. Right. She's like, man, she just came all the way over here just to help me literally turn on the water and show how stupid I was. And I'm like, you're not stupid. Right. Like,
not fully.
But no, it's just like adding value. How can I continuously serve my clients? Right. Like, that's what it's about. In this case, it was going to try to figure out what was wrong with the electric and water. Simple fix. Yeah,
and that is, I think, in 2023 moving forward, and I think a lot of people are starting to understand that, like, that way of business is what's going to separate you, keep you around, be the differentiator from you and any other person out there. So right on, man. That really aligns with how Memo and I see our business and how we like to be. It's nice to find that out there in the world. I think when we started to actually like keep that as like a mantra of like, this is what we wanted to do, we started to like really start to find it. It's weird. Like when you start asking the universe of like to get you in places or like
I'm a big believer in vibration.
Yeah. Then that stuff starts to like that note that you start to just ring off, like,
well, where attention goes, energy flows.
Totally.
Right. And it's a law of the universe. It's as real as gravity, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree too. I was never one that really thought that was like real, but the more we've been intentional, the more the universe keeps keep bringing that back into our face, and it makes me feel good because it's obvious. Like, I feel like you're on the right path.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And after I speak with you guys, it's one thing, and we were talking about this earlier, right? When you actually care about what you do and your clients, right? In my opinion, if you don't focus on the money of the transaction, focus on serving your people, focus on doing the best you can to actually help them. Not just with a sale, but hey, you're going to need this, you're going to need that, you're going to need this, you're going to need that. Let's get all this figured out now, all the pieces set up on the board. Like, how can you actually truly best serve your people, right? I look at it as there's a story, if you'll indulge me for a minute. There's a husband and wife, and they're home, and they notice these 3 old men sitting out on the curb in front of their house. And they're like, oh, that's interesting. So a few hours go by, and they notice these 3 men still sitting there. So the wife goes out and says, listen, we've noticed you guys sitting here for quite a while now, and you must be hungry. Come inside, we'd like to give you some food. Well, one of the old men stands up and says, listen, my name is Love. This is wealth. This is success. We cannot all come in the house together, right? So go back in, talk with your husband, and decide which one of us you want to come in and eat. She felt it a little strange, so she goes into the house, she talks with the husband, and he's like, you know what? I bet if we invite one of these people in the house, our home would be blessed with whatever it is. Let's invite wealth, right? The wife says, oh, you know what? Maybe we invite success, okay? So the wife finally comes out after a little bit and goes up and says, which one of you is Love? Love stands up and says, I am Love. We would like to invite you into the house for dinner. So she turns around and starts walking. A gentleman named Love starts walking. The 2 other guys stand up and start walking behind him. And she says, hold on, wait a second. I thought you said the 3 of you can't come into the house together. The old man named Love says, if you invited wealth into your home, love and success would not have followed. If you invited success into your home, wealth and love would not have followed. But since you invited love into your home, all 3 of us will forever be in your home. And if you really think about that, if you look at your clients, like, how can I best serve you? And do all those little things, like the personal touches we were talking about, just reaching out to say hi, have nothing to do with business, right? Showing them that you actually care. Yeah. The wealth, the success, the things that you're really looking for, if you have the stamina to stick it out, will come.
Wow. That's awesome. It makes, that's
deep, isn't it?
Cool.
It makes a lot of sense, though, right? In business, we focus a lot on the target, right? I got to get 15 million closed this year. I got to get 50 transactions. I got to this. No, you got to serve people. Yeah. You got to serve people. You just keep in touch with your people, show them that you care. Eventually, if you have the stamina, your business will get to a point to where all that takes care of itself. Right. As long as you stay focused on the most important thing, which is serving your people. That's it.
When you talk about the idea of stamina, like, I always think about, like, successful businesses, like, they're probably not doing anything like totally crazy. They've just continued to do the simple thing, like, obviously well, but they've had the stamina to, like, continuously do it again and again and again, because, like, right, that's like when being a true expert in something comes, is when you're able to do the same move in lacrosse, the same move in wrestling. You just drill it, and you just keep doing the fundamental thing again and again and again. And then after a while, it's like you are so experienced in that it's become second nature. It's part of life. It's part of your muscle. Yeah. It's part of your DNA even. So
take it even to another level, the stamina to continue doing it when you're not seeing any results. Yeah. Or you're in a down market, or it's just not working, right? The stamina to know that, it's going to work, and just continue
to keep doing it.
That's it. For me, that's what the stamina is. Just keep going. Yeah. Right? 3 feet from goal. Just keep going.
Yeah, that's awesome. That, I love that. I love that mindset. I think that's something, again, of a lot of things you've talked about, I've already felt pretty connected with, and like, all right, this guy's on. This, again, vibrations are very similar. I kind of want to go into this pivot a little, but still on, business, doing things consistently. I know you had kind of mentioned a little bit about, your new, one of your goals for the next year, Jan 1, is like, I want to get more into social media. Yeah. You said your biggest thing is I'm not consistent.
And I'm very upfront about that. I know it's a big downfall. I need to get more consistent.
tell you this too, and this is something that we tell people a lot, is that it's not always about like having a new piece of content every day. Like while that is awesome and eventually you should get there, you should start focusing on being consistent, but creating quality content that then can live forever. And I guess what I mean by that is the more you do things that are really well, you can use all that stuff again later. Like if you do enough pieces really well, they will live on and they become timeless because the right information is the right thing no matter what.
Okay.
And with how flooded the market is with, you're inundated with new content, it has new lives. Not everyone saw that post. And that's what's the cool part about it. And when you really start to like create your wingspan and you like develop 5 or 6 different types of content, and now you've got 30 pieces of each, that's when you get like, that's when you see the people like, oh, I'm driving a bunch of leads from social media. You get like, that's when the real library of content become the army that we call them your soldiers, because they sell for you 24 hours a day.
Okay.
And especially if you're on camera, you release the veil that's out there.
Yeah, agreed.
Right? And that's the biggest thing with social media. With you getting on camera, you like the thin layer, it's the warm handshake before you even meet. And that's like the biggest thing ever. And once you figure that out, I think things become a little easier for you.
Yeah, no, we're definitely going to continue that conversation offline. From a marketing standpoint, it's probably my biggest downfall.
Yeah.
But that's because, when I started, I was using social media just to show people I was active. And that's just I haven't evolved out of that yet.
Yeah.
And been trying, but I just haven't had the consistency. Majority of my business just comes from personal referrals right now, which is fantastic. But
that's it.
There's a whole nother segment, and I'm business savvy enough to know that I'm missing out on a lot of things because I'm not, marketing to the masses per se. And, I had a meeting last week where we're figuring out a new strategy here for Q3 to really just ramp it up for the rest of this year. So by the time January 1 gets around, Q1 next year, all that has already been developed and we're crushing it. And,
that is,
hopefully, if some leads come from it, great, but it's much more about just, building that brand recognition, getting people to know, like, and trust me.
Yeah.
Right? The leads, all that stuff's going to come. I'm not worried about that, but it's about just actually being disciplined, because it's all about this discipline enough to create that content and get it out there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. The one thing that I think you're doing that I didn't necessarily tell you before we got onto this is that the idea of starting before Jan 1, I think, to like give you the runway before you hit it hard, because it's like with anything else, you got to like grease it up. You got to like make sure the mechanism is working.
Got to figure your system.
Right. And then by the time Jan 1 hits, now you're all systems go. You've made out the kink, but you've also started to build some recognition within what everyone calls the algorithm, right? And like that stuff all takes Memo will be like, it takes you about a year to really do it. But I think if you're doing things well and you're being consistent and your content's on point, I say 90 days and you will see.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah. I mean, will it be necessarily a lead that generates a close? No. But what you will get is people starting to talk to you outside of social media about your content. And then that's like the initial start of like, again, that train starting to move.
Awesome.
Because they'll be like, oh, I see you. I see what you're doing. And maybe that hasn't, again, generated that lead that is.
It's recognizing, though, for me right now, it's just about brand recognition, like who I am. Someone came up to me and said, hey, man, I love your Insta. Like, that would make my day. Like, dude, you're awesome.
Right.
But no, so the plan is, sort of figure it out over the next few weeks, start putting out a little more content. I have great people around me. Obviously, I have you guys now to bounce ideas off of.
Please.
And, just it's the one thing that I have not really took seriously yet. And I'm getting to a point in the business to where it's time. Right? It's time.
If you look at the other big markets, the major markets, you look at New York, you look at California, you look at Miami, like those real estate agents are utilizing video in a way that like Chicago is like 5 years behind. It's always wild to me when I think about that. Like the play now is still early enough while I think the train is left, and you better start running, because if you don't catch up, people are going to leave you in the dust, and you're going to be like, building your brand online is going to become really difficult.
Okay.
And that's just the trends I see coming.
Good thing I'm starting to get on it now.
Yeah, good thing we met. Good thing we met. But yeah, I was going to go finish with that. But yeah, I think that is something that really is important key to getting out there. And there's, it's not so much too about, you said something about, I want them to know who I am, like, and trust me, right? I think there's also something you got to remember that I think people do too much is like they try to become this influencer online, all right? And that's like, look at me, I'm here, I'm doing this. But I think the play is education.
My big play is just to provide value, right?
Education, value, whatever you want to call it.
If you look at my Insta, I have never taken a selfie in front of anything. It's more like on my reels, especially the new construction ones I've done, is more educating them on, like, hey, this is utility brick, or this is that. So for me, it's really revolve around creating content that explains things, that actually adds value.
Yeah.
Someone likes it, great. If someone doesn't, great. Right? It's out there. Someone will take something from it. As far as like being an influencer, I really have no desire. I just wanted to get out there and help people, just want to guide them through a process.
100%. I'm not saying it to you. I'm just saying that is a down pit, and I'm sure you've seen it.
I had an agent come through here our last open house, and so she got all kinds of business through social media. I'm like, cool. Like, she's like, can I film your home? I'm like, sure, go ahead. I looked up. She does like $2 to $3 million in business a year, which for me is not a lot. But she just made herself like, I'm this big influencer. And I'm like, great, right? I'm a real estate consultant. Like, I want to help people.
Those are the bane of me and Memo's existence.
I mean, good for her if it's working, and that's what she
good
wants
for
to do.
you.
Fantastic,
I'm not hating that it works.
I want to go out there and just put out content that actually helps somebody, right? If they want to give me a call and we can figure out how to work together, or I can figure out how to serve them, great. But if I put out a video and they're like, oh, so that's what soundproofing is, like, that's cellulose in the truss. Oh, interesting, right? Awesome.
That's the right mind. We always say the 80-20 rule.
I have no desire to be some social media influencer.
Good. And nor should you. That's not your job.
I don't.
And I think you'll lose respect from people. I think you lose that local expert vibe that comes when you're really about your business, and you make that be known to people.
I think it's one person who can pull it off and has pulled it off. Other than that, I can't think of any. It's Ryan Serhant. But he's a real estate agent first,
But that's a good point. He has, but it's real estate first. Yeah. He's got that show on YouTube, which is like a whole nother play. Like figuring out you can take content to YouTube, and like you are one of the nicest speakers I've met. Like just meeting you, that like jumped off not only my screen because we did a video with you, but also like when I was talking to you, that I think has a play for you that maybe you don't quite know just yet, but I think the most ROI will be from funneling all these social media platforms back to YouTube. And I think that's a lot.
We'll set up a strategy session then. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just put me in front of a camera. I'll go.
Well, I think not a lot of people do, but that's the beauty of like talking to people. It's like, oh, they have different strengths, right? James, what a conversation.
I've enjoyed this, man.
Yeah, it's easy, right?
It's been fantastic. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, so James, thank you for being here. I absolutely love this conversation. If you'd like to look over there, tell the people what you got going on. Anything else?
Well, I think I've pretty much said it all on the podcast. But James Gurick, real estate consultant at Baird Warner. We do have a lot going on right now. I'd love to share with you. I'm not going to do it over a 10-second plug. But I'm sure all my contact information, my handles will be put up in the podcast. Any questions, comments, anything at all, just give me a shout. I'd love to help you out.
Awesome. I'd like to also thank Haven Homestager. Without them, none of this is possible. Thank you to the Wolfram Collection. You have beautiful homes, as everybody will be seeing here shortly when we do our video. Peace, everybody.